Well, hello and welcome again to another introductory podcast by myself, Danny B90, and the big man, John Parker. Say hello, John.
Hello everyone. We're back again for another one of these crazy little podcast things going on.
Yeah, we're going to try and keep it slightly more under control this time. We got a little bit out of hand talking about chopping down trees last time. So,
I was getting my wood on.
Oh, fantastic. But right, we'll introduce everybody, particularly the DC fans who, you know, in the first podcast of this series will probably have been a bit heartbroken to know, you know, they lost a fan in Matt. Obviously, he never said anything bad. Never said any bad words about them. But you know, he obviously found new allegiances, which I'm sure stirred up ruffled some feathers, shall we say. But alas, DC fans, you can rest easy as we are now chatting to Shane, who is the new DC convert and is writing for DC and for MLS UK. So, Shane, hello. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, very good. Thanks. Yourself?
Yes, very good, very good. Very excited to have a little chat with you and find out, you know, a little bit more about you.
We're pumped, man. We're pumped. We're so excited to welcome you, Shane, because you're one of the new writers. You're brand new. You've never been with MLS UK before, have you? You're sort of throwing yourself out there on the line, getting involved, which is fantastic. So, how are you feeling about this experience?
Yeah, I've never done anything like it before, but from what I've read on the site, feeling positive. Looking forward to getting to know more MLS fans from America and UK.
So, what was it that brought you first, you know, into the site as a whole? What made you want to write for the site, and you know, specifically, what made you pick DC?
Well, I chose DC as my team last September. Just a thing we got going at work, and I was just looking for an MLS team to pick, and DC just stood out. Started following things to do with DC United in the MLS on Twitter. Come across MLS UK on Twitter. And then I seen News After Writers a couple of weeks ago and thought I'd have a try to see how I got on.
Yeah, well, you seem to have got some fairly positive response. You've been welcomed in by the DC fans. Have you found any more followers and stuff have been coming your way from the DC fans?
Yeah, I've got about 7, 8, 9 DC United fans following me on Twitter and been talking about the recent pre-season results. I also talked to a fair few DC United fans who I get on pretty well with on the internet.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant. So what do you think it is, you know, that makes it different? Because obviously, you know, are you a West Brom fan, is it?
Yeah.
So you're used to following teams that aren't, you know, doing brilliantly all the time. And
yeah,
that's a low blow. That's a low blow right there, Danny.
Oh, I was just saying, you know, I can't talk. My team went bankrupt and died, so you know. But yeah. So what do you think's different for you? You know, following the MLS. Obviously, it's not an incredibly easy thing to follow from England. But what was it? What makes it exciting for you to watch and follow MLS? You know, that makes it different from the Premiership.
The way the conference is set out, the way they've split it apart, and also some of the players coming towards the end of their careers are actually going out over to America and trying it, such as Beckham, Keane, Henry. We've also got some young players over there. I believe Rooney's brother's over there at the minute playing for New York. Yeah,
there are some big names going over it, and then obviously it's kind of seen as almost like a training ground, but it's kind of one of those things that you kind of hope it grows a bit more than that, obviously. But it's great to see the big name players are actually now choosing to go over there, even though they're probably not even offering as much money now as places like Russia and China, and where, you know, ridiculous sums of money have been offered. I think it's understood that it's quite a pure form of the game, which is quite nice.
If I can just butt in there as well, you know, obviously we had, it ties in quite well actually last night, the wonderful goal that ex-MLS and, dare I say, New England Revolution player Clint Dempsey scored the winning goal to make it USA 1-0 over Italy last night in Italy. So he's obviously now at Fulham, and he's come over from New England and really done well, and then now he's thriving in the Premiership and things. So I mean, it's a great league, really, isn't it? Really, when you talk about some of the players that are going to it and coming from it now, when you think about the cross with players now coming into the Premier League and scoring a lot of goals as well, which is great.
Yeah, on that note, we like my club West Bromwich Albion, we had the DC United goalkeeper on trial here earlier, during the MLS off season. I think he impressed, and he enjoyed the atmosphere of the English football. So I think it's something that most MLS players would like to do, is actually come over to the Premier League and have a go at it.
Yeah, I think it's funny. European football is obviously such a draw for them. I mean, Robbie Rogers from the Crew has recently joined Leeds, and it's funny that you get that sort of switch where you get young players going over to America to play, in a lot nicer conditions than you play in England, and then coming back to England and trying to sort of grow a career here. But I mean, what do you think that is going to be good for American soccer as a whole to try and sort of grow forward? What do you think it is that separates it from other leagues?
Well, look, with the players that are going over there, obviously that's going to get more attention than probably some of the teams in Russia. Plus, you've got quite a few successful teams in the MLS. DC United pretty successful. LA Galaxy over the last few seasons. Real Salt Lake pretty successful.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a good growing league, and I mean one of the things obviously is that players like Henry, Beckham, Keane going to clubs, and Mexes I think is at New York as well. These young players that are in America and the American players coming through the draft system actually get to play and train and learn with these big stars, which obviously you get quite a lot in England, if you're playing through the youth leagues, not youth leagues, the youth sort of systems of big clubs like, Man United, Arsenal, Chelsea, whoever. You're playing with big stars and you therefore learn quicker, and well, not necessarily quicker, it depends on you I suppose, but you learn through these big players. And I think that's something that will really help the MLS, in general, as it grows. But John, how are you feeling? Are you excited to have Shane on board?
Oh, I'm pumped, man. No, honestly, I'm really excited. Obviously, what we didn't want to do was we didn't want to upset all the DC fans. Obviously, when Matt abandoned them, again, I'm going to say that I'm just going to underline. I'm going to make it worse for him.
Yeah, why not?
I'm going to make people gun for Matt Wag. He's not going to be welcome anymore in America. People are going to be gunning for him, except in Chicago. We really didn't want to upset them and say, this guy hates you and wants to go somewhere else. That's not what we wanted to do. And I think a lot of DC fans were a little bit upset about it. As upset as you can be about someone you've never met, but
from a completely different
really
country.
We've got a nice guy who's come in and taken over the reporting on DC and been so enthusiastic about it. And he's clearly, obviously, before you joined MLS UK, you were a fan of the MLS anyway, weren't you, Shane? So that's a great thing.
Obviously, explain to us how you came in, to find the MLS. You said it was something at work. What was it that spurred you all into picking an MLS club?
But it was actually my idea. I think it was just one of these things where, obviously the English football season ends in May, whereas the MLS season basically just started then. So it's some form of football to actually keep your eye on over during the summer. Yeah,
it is a nice thing for an English fan to be able to watch football pretty much all year round now.
That's one of the reasons I started really getting into MLS was just because kind of you have this drop, and whereas in England sort of everyone, because all we've got is football, and then at the end of the season everyone just stops and goes, well, what do we do now, and everyone ends up watching like tennis or something ridiculous.
You can't call other sports ridiculous just because you don't like them, John.
I'm just spreading it on. I'm spreading it on thick, calling tennis ridiculous. But I mean, in America, that's what I've always loved about it. You've got like ice hockey's going on. Then you've got American football, basketball. There's always something going on baseball's on, and MLS. And so it's kind of like whenever they've got a down period, whenever one of your sports ends, you can just say, oh, well, I'll just go and watch the next one now. Whereas in England, there's never been that. Whereas now, at least, with MLS, there's a great little chunk of time where football fans from the UK can say, well, hey, we don't have to sit around and twiddle our thumbs until the season starts again. Let's go and catch some MLS, and obviously the whole thing with David Beckham going over there, Thierry Henry going over there has really turned some heads, and obviously MLS UK with what we're trying to do, we're trying to turn some heads, but it's really great.
We're slightly lower profile than David Beckham and Henry though, so
I don't think
we do little steps.
Just as good looking as Beckham.
No, lower profile, not lower body mass, John.
Unbelievable.
Different, doesn't count that way.
Bigger
in size, but not in reputation.
I'm bigger in heart. I'm bigger in spirit and in IQ than David Beckham. So
yeah, possibly.
In fact, I think I might have just upset a lot of people there. So
yeah. We'll edit that out. It's fine. We won't upset anybody.
but no, I genuinely think it's a really nicely, and I don't know whether that was a tactical thing by the MLS. I don't know. Maybe some of the listeners do know, but it certainly lines up well with so that sort of football fans from the UK and from Europe can sort of switch on and say, well, hey, we'll check out the MLS. So it's great. And obviously, like Shane says, obviously it's happened with him and it's happened with your colleagues as well, Shane. So it's obviously something that people in the UK are looking to fill that void when football vanishes on our doorstep. We go and find it somewhere else.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And Shane, finally, I'll try and keep it slightly short. We're not very good at keeping short things, but what's your hopes for the season then? This is going to be your first full season, second part of the season. What are your hopes for DC then this season?
After having 4 years without even qualifying for the playoffs, the playoffs have got to be the minimum goal. But looking at the team, I'm pretty confident that I could actually qualify for the playoffs and do pretty well in that playoffs as well.
Well, we hope so. Obviously, you are, me being a Crew fan, you are one of our rivals. So, unfortunately, now we can no longer talk ever again. But but yes, we'll build up these rivalries throughout the season. But I will cut us short. So, thank you for joining us again, Shane. How do people find you on Twitter, Shane? What's your handle, as John keeps calling it?
It is. Not had it very long, so bear with me for 1 second.
That's all good. I like that. That's the sign of a new writer.
Yeah. Come on, the tension is building.
It's there. I'm excited. I mean, while we're waiting for that, Dan, why don't you just
fill the
tell us when
material.
the first article's coming out on the site?
Oh, John, it might be up. I might do a video blog soon, and it might be up before this. You never know.
A video blog. You better not make it too long, though, Dan.
No,
people don't like long videos.
No, I'm going to make it 3 minutes. A 3-minute video blog, just a summary.
I'm very excited, mate. I'm looking forward to it. So let's go back to Shane. Shane, any new developments?
Yeah, found it. It is Shane 1705.
Cool. That's random numbers stacked on the end there, isn't it?
I love that. Is that like any specific dates?
Yeah, my birthday.
Ah, perfect.
Like that.
Wasn't just like a random number of like that 23 thing.
It's a nice little hint actually, because now DC United fans will know when to send you a shirt over.
Yeah, they'll know when to send you stuff on your birthday. So, fantastic.
Although being American, they might get the date the wrong way round.
Yeah.
So,
although there isn't a 17th month, so they'll be difficult to get it the wrong way round.
That's a good point. Good point.
But yes, we will end it there before we drag on even more talking about American date systems. So yes, thanks again, Shane. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for talking to us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And thanks, John, for bringing that large humour that you always bring.
Oh, that large personality and humour.
That's the one I was thinking of.
Yes. Thank you very much for joining us, Shane. We really appreciate it. We're really looking forward to seeing your articles this year, my friend. And Dan, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. And thank you, obviously, to all the listeners as well. Thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you for listening, everybody, and we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.